This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a beautiful buffalo cow feeding on a termite mound here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. I'm so happy to be back, and I don't think I could have asked for a better welcome than a big herd of buffalo sleeping across the road and all the way down to my side behind me here. My name is Tessa. I'm going to be your guide here this morning. Behind the camera is Owen, and we are very, very excited to see a herd of buffalo. So the last time I was here, I didn't get to say goodbye properly, but I'm very, very happy to be back. And I must tell you, I only saw buffalo bulls when I was here last. And so to see a buffalo herd has already made my day. They are still so nice and relaxed. You can see most of them are still lying on the road. They've kicked up a bit of the soft sand. You can see where they've been walking. And they just seem to be relaxing and chewing the cud a bit. So it's only around 21 degrees here this morning. It's quite cold. You can see it's not very sunny. It's actually drizzling at the moment. And so I think they're just enjoying this nice cool weather before they need to start moving for the day. But we'd love to hear from you this morning, so please, if you have any questions or comments, please do get hold of us. You can find us at #WildEarth on Twitter. If you're under the age of 18, you can pop us an email on kidsquestions@wildearth.tv, or you can register on the WildEarth website, head over to the channel page and submit your questions for us there. We'll be looking forward to answering them. So it's so good to see these buffaloes in excellent condition and looking so nice and relaxed as well. Often early in the mornings, if you find a big buffalo herd like this, they might be a bit unrelaxed when you approach them, and that's just because it's a herd. They've got calves. They want to be careful. But it's nice to see them all relaxing, and you can see they're actually pretty spread out. A few of the cows like this one are still looking at us. Megan Edwards, good morning. Hello. Thank you for your comment. Yes, I'm sure the buffalo say good morning as well. This female in particular, I think she might have heard you. She is looking around. But it is such a good way to start the morning. And, of course, if there's a buffalo herd moving through, that means other animals might be moving through as well. Owen was just asking whether or not the talamatis might be following these buffalo, whether the buffalo brought their tail of lines. So you never know what the day will hold. But for me, it's just so nice to be able to sit here and appreciate them a little bit. You can actually see this one lying closest to us in the road. It's a very, very big body. That's quite a large male, and look at the size of his horns. So he's the one that had kind of just come in from the side and lay down when the other females were already lying there feeding. But he really does seem to be quite a nice bull. He looks quite young. And that's a youngish one coming past as well. You can hear the branches breaking as well as they're moving around us. Now the direction they're going, because we're currently sitting on Vuyatela access, which is the main access into Djuma, the way that it looks like they're facing, and the few behind me are already kind of starting to move a bit, is actually straight towards Vuyatela Dam, where the dam cam is. So I'm wondering if they're not going to be hopping around a bit today, maybe going to the dam from there, maybe moving further south in Djuma, because big herds like this, they're not really resident, they move a lot. And so it's one of those situations where you get very, very lucky to see them when they are moving and when they are here. I'm going to try and get a little bit closer. I've just noticed a female with a wound on her side, so I want to have a look at that. But while I do that, let's have a look at what the weather's doing for the morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the other Djuma feed. We have got a rain roof on today because we don't know what to expect, but this is Team Wendy. My name is Lauren, and I do have Davi on camera. We did just check the Hyena den, and, well, it's not active. I am starting to notice that it's active a little bit later in the morning, and it's also active earlier in the afternoon. But I did just want to check. It's amazing we've got that herd of buffalo right on the edge of quarantine. Well, hotel access quarantine. There'll be no running for anyone today. No running for anyone today. It's good to have buffalo back. When was the last time we had buffalo on the property? But no activity at the Hyena day. That's okay. We've been very lucky lately. But we've got to keep checking because I want to see Corky and I want to see Ribbon. And the only way we're going to see them is at the den or at a kill. And neither of those things are happening right now. So we'll keep trying. Bumble on. Today's perfect to catch mobile animals. I mean, I always say that, and we don't always catch mobile animals, but we shall try. Yesterday's drive ended with such a bang again. Heart and the belly. I'm seeing wonderful behavior at the Hyena den that I really haven't seen in my time here. Learning from it. It's given us a good chance to really see this close bond that Heart has with Indabele and Swazi. That's very, very telling. I think Heart is second in charge under Corky, but again, I need to see Corky. So we'll bumble. I haven't personally been into Chitwa in a really long time. I've been scratching around Djuma. So I think may pop into Chitwa and see what's going on down that side. And again, because we've got our rain roof on, it's going to mean we're not able to sort of boom the bash into the den side that I want to check. But that's okay. We need to make sure we don't get rained on. I can hear the kingfisher, I just can't see him. Oh, okay, I'm going to scratch around Gary Main, see what's happening, and you guys are going to go back over to the buffalo.
So it looks like we are slowly starting to move a little bit here. Everybody seems to be waking up except for this up-and-coming big male that's still lying down, and it looks like the youngsters seem to be attracted to him, maybe a bit of protection there. They're all just standing around him. And I think this young male is probably one of the bulls that's going to be coming through the herd and taking over dominance. And I'm saying that because the herd is fairly split up, but for him to be with the calves and with some of the bigger females means maybe he is slightly more dominant. Buffaloes have this dominance hierarchy where the females have a hierarchy, their calves will inherit their hierarchy when they're young. And the males have their own hierarchy as well. It's not one male to a herd, it's a lot of males in a specific hierarchy. And the most dominant will be the ones that are surrounding the females that have babies. And it seems like a lot of the calves are in this little kind of group. Not just these three, but the ones standing as well have calves lying behind them. So they're also at the front of the herd, it looks like. So it looks like maybe this is the dominant little group within the herd of buffalo, and the others are kind of spread out. But this female that's actually just in front of us, I noticed as she was walking across the road, she's got quite a big wound on her side. She's not displaying any distressed behavior or anything like that, but it is quite a gaping hole that you can see just below her spine there, and you can see it's been oozing a bit down her side. And from the shape of it, this could be something like a lion on its back having ripped a piece off, but more likely with such a big hole, maybe a horn from another buffalo. And so it's interesting to see. I mean, she's looking very healthy. She doesn't look like she's in bad condition or anything like that. She hasn't showed any pain while she's moving or displayed any of it anyway. It's just one of those reminders that, you know, this is the wild. There is no predicting what will happen, but these animals are so resilient. So I don't think that's something that will slow her down very much. If anything, I think just the flies would be frustrating, and maybe even something like a yellow-billed oxpecker would try and go for that wound, but she's looking really good, so that makes me happy at least. Making the most of her situation. You can see how tall the grass is getting around here. It's one of the things that I noticed flying in yesterday. Everything is so green, so lush. Everything has grown, it feels like, in heaps and bounds overnight. I watched it change while I was here last time, and then all of a sudden, it feels like overnight it's just exploded to twice the volume that it was. It's really good to see that it's so nice and green, and I'm sure these buffalo are really enjoying it. You know, they've got to be eating all of this grass, and so it's nice to know that it's nice and wet, nice and nutritious, nice and green. But I'm going to spend a little bit more time with them, purely because I haven't seen a buffalo herd in a while, and it's a great way to start my morning. And we'll see what happens.
If I could take you on safari all day and all night, I would. But unfortunately, it's not always the best time to see the animals. Now, in between safaris, you can watch the WildEarth channel with loads of extra shows. If you have a connected television, Apple TV or Roku box, then download the WildEarth app, and if not, then just find it on the App Store on your phone.
It has been a wonderful privilege to identify one of our key characters here at Penguin Beach, Pepper, with a very, very distinct facial patterning, as the name would suggest, very peppered and speckled belly. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this penguin does over the next few days and months. Because of those unique markings, it's going to be really, really cool to watch it as it moves around the penguin colony here at Stony Point.
Oh, what are you doing? Are you trying out for the ballet? Now it's an itchy bottom. Up we get. Mom's coming. Everybody's moving off.
I am an outdoor photographer, a wildlife filmmaker, and a conservation storyteller. Penguin Beach is going to offer us this really unique opportunity to watch and pick up on the smallest of details in the penguins' lives. It's going to allow us the time to really get to know these penguins well, get to know their story, and get to interpret the little finer details and share that with you with a live TV show and get you to fall in love with penguins.
I love being a cam-up for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
So we are still looking very, very settled. I'm quite surprised because the drizzle is getting a little bit more consistent. So to me, they should either be moving towards the thickets, maybe the dam for some water, or just kind of moving off to a slightly more covered area, but maybe they're just enjoying, after all the heat recently and the humidity yesterday was very, very high, maybe they're just enjoying a bit of the cool weather. So the big bull that was lying in the road is actually now the one that is standing, facing towards the left. And he actually went straight past this cow, that one on the right that had the injury, and we were just admiring the shape of his body. He is such a big bull in terms of body size. I think he's one of the biggest I've seen for body size. He's got a bit of a dewlap. His boss isn't huge, but his body is still so perfect. He doesn't have scarring across the body. He's got a few marks on the face like any buffalo bull does. But have a look at how smooth and glossy his coat is. I think he's the biggest bodied buffalo bull I've seen without scars. He's still got a perfectly intact coat on the body, but there you can see on the face he's got a little bit of markings underneath the eyes, which is quite normal. And he's got a bit of a dewlap. So for a body that size, you'd actually almost expect him to have a much bigger boss. His horns themselves are very big, very nice big curls. But the boss itself, that lumpy section on the middle, isn't quite as big as I would have expected. So I think he's still got a lot of growing to do based on how perfectly conditioned his coat is. I think he's still got quite a bit of growing to do in terms of horn size and boss. But you can see he has been using that boss quite a lot. Look at all those lumps and bumps. Been rubbing it on things. Daniel, yes, female buffaloes do have horns. So the one to the right, which Owen is going to show you now, that is a female. She has horns. But have a look at the difference. That section right above her eyes on the top of her head is hairy. It's very flat, it's hairy, and her horns start on the side of her head. She doesn't need that big section called the boss because she doesn't do much fighting, where the males do. So just to the right you can see a male. Look at that big boss on his head. It looks like a moustache, that shape on the top, the very big lumpy section, that's a male. And that boss is really important to protect the skull with all the fighting that buffalo bulls do. And so there's a very, very big difference between male and female horns. So it's one of the easiest ways to sex a buffalo is to actually have a look at those horns, have a look for that boss. You can also see the curls of his horns are much deeper, they're much thicker horns, where hers are fairly small, narrow, but both equally as sharp. And don't underestimate a buffalo cow. She's got very sharp horns and she will use them. I have seen a lion get tossed by a buffalo like it weighed nothing. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get a slightly different view, see how big the herd is. While we do that, let's head over to JP so we can say good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Eco Training Prylands. At the moment we're watching two elephant bulls in the distance. Unfortunately, these two also chased African wild dogs that we were going to go and view this morning. So quite often you will find that African elephants will chase a number of different predators. Even if they're much bigger, they simply do so. Sometimes I think they like to do it just purely out of fun because they can, but also if it's a far better thing for them to know where the predators are and to chase them away. So my name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got BK. So one of the reasons why I decided not to actually approach these two elephant bulls this morning, is that we can drive through this vegetated area, is that the vegetation is so thick. And this time of year, there's a lot of little birds that are actually nesting in these long grasses. And just out of a sensitivity aspect and out of respect for the smaller components within the ecosystem, it's always best to avoid off-roading if you have to. In general, we do find that it is protocol at most lodges to off-road, and generally we find that it's for high-profile species such as members of the Big Five, including species such as cheetah as well as wild dog. At the moment, we're just going to wait for them to actually come towards us. Some of the other things that we also do look at this time of the year when it's quite a lot of rain, we also have to be incredibly cautious of where we off-road, not purely for the fact that you can potentially get stuck, but also that you can create serious degradation to the habitat itself. So it's not just the animals and the birds and the trees and things that we look after, we also look after the non-living aspects within the ecosystem as if they're all interlinked. We're going to spend a little bit more time here. I hope that those elephants will come towards us. If they don't, we're just simply going to move on and actually go and see what else we can go and find. Oh, it's great to just do sometimes also just practice a little bit of patience as a guide, something that lacks with a lot of the younger guides. So always want to rush the process. It's also as a good little hint when you are approaching animals, instead of driving straight up to the animal, as what many inexperienced guides do, or visitors to the Kruger National Park will do, as they automatically want to just get the best possible photo, rather stop, look at what the animal is doing, determine the direction of where the animal is going, then position your vehicle and go a little bit closer if the animal is happy with your presence. Quite often if you just drive up to animals, they actually just move off as they find it particularly intimidating. Something else I don't really like is actually following animals from behind when they are moving down a road. In that case, I will rather use another road, quickly link around, and then face the animal as if they were moving towards you. Quite often animals become very nervous when you actually follow them from behind. Our elephants are now coming up into the open. There's some grass swords that are sticking out of its mouth. As already mentioned on a number of occasions, at this time of the year they are doing a lot of feeding on grasses, as the grasses are quite palatable at this time of the year. It also has a very large or high amount of moisture in it at the moment. You'll notice again in the winter that they actually will less often feed on grasses. But what we do quite often find in winter is that they will actually pick up trees that they previously pushed over, as there's a lot of grasses underneath there that's been protected against other grazers, and then they will come and feed on those softer grasses. While we wait for our elephants to pop out, let's go and see what Lauren is up to.
Ready to head into Chitwa. I've got a good feeling about Chitwa today, but we need to get a little bit closer to explore and also to get on that radio. It doesn't work the same as the northern channel. I'm quite good at understanding that language now. I haven't been into Chitwa in days. I've been stuck in my Tlalamba loop, which is very naughty of me. So we're going to go into Chitwa and have a look around. Since my Misi Kaya was not active. I love the word Kaya and the way they use it here. Tlalamba's Kaya, the Misi's Kaya. The hyena's home, Tlalamba's home. It's very sweet. But it's chilly, I must say. I'm not going to put my jacket on. The cameraman's nice and wrapped up this morning. Are you warm?
Yes.
But I'm going to brave it. But do tell us what you want to see today, as long as it's realistic. Cheetah, pangolin, aardvark. Probably not going to happen, but do tell us. Insect-wise, antelope-wise, bird-wise, character-wise. And we'll do our best. Yesterday up in Buffelshoek they had 2 cheetahs on a kill. It was quite far north. That area, once you get to Hunter's Moon side, is very open on that Manguleti boundary. Very, very open, and it's the perfect terrain for cheetahs. Stephen, I think I just said this, but it means home. Kaya means home. Or that's the translation, that's the way it translates. So when you say Misi Kaya, you're referring to the home of the Misi, the home of the hyenas, which is Dane, basically. But they use it here in just such a sweet way that when Kalamba's staining or Sabui's staining, they'll say Kalamba's Kaya. Kalamba's home where she's got her babies, and Sabui Kaya. I think it's just sweet. Or you can say, I'm finished now, I'm going back to Kaya, I'm going back to home. It's just a lovely word. It's just a lovely way that they use it. So we have crossed into Chitwa now. Hello, Chitwa. It's been a while. My favorite property, and I have abandoned it. So I'm going to get on that radio and find out what updates they have for Chitwa.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
There is clearly something in the vicinity around you that's drawn their attention. Yes, that meerkat in the tree is just the coolest of cool meerkats. But watch how he battles when he comes down. It would be like me climbing a tree, just better.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially subalterns and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
So I'm on a bit of a bumble. I'm hoping we can get that angle. We just bumped into a little elephant. And I'm actually really, really happy. Two of my favorites so early in the morning. Good morning. You're looking a little bit alert. Interestingly enough, I don't see or hear any other elephants around. But maybe this is just the front end or the tail end of a herd. But look how beautiful this elephant is. Oh, maybe just a young male that's been kicked out. Yeah, I think that's the case. Definitely got a bit of a fright when we came around the corner. You could see the ears went out a little bit, but straight back to feeding, looking nice and relaxed. Wow. Oh, look at those eyes. Elephants have incredibly long eyelashes. It's always been one of the most captivating things to me, is the eyelashes of an elephant. And this young male, probably 15 years old, somewhere around there, on its own, is not actually that unusual. If it were a young female on her own, then I'd be a little bit more alert to what's around us. But he looks like he's just relaxing, enjoying his time. Definitely had a bit of a dew stain all over him. Wesley, yes, it is a stunning start to the weekend when you have two big animals starting off, elephants and buffaloes. He's quite alert. I'm quite impressed by this. I think very likely that this young male hasn't been on his own for very long. I mean, he's probably only just been kicked out of the herd in the last little while. You know, getting a bit older, bringing in those teenage hormones. He might have started getting a little bit too rough with the calves, and so the females decided it was time for him to move off. And maybe he just hasn't found any other elephants yet. He doesn't have to find other elephants to go to, but it certainly does seem to help, especially the young bulls when they are with other elephants. But he is looking quite alert, and I think that's just because he's still getting used to being on his own. Also, I mean, this kind of weather is perfect for an elephant. It's drizzling, it's overcast, it's cool. And you can see how much dew there is on the grass still, and how wet it is, because his trunk and his legs are wet. So his body is going to be really nice and cool. And being a teenager, he's going to have extra energy anyways. And so for him, weather like this means he can afford to be a little bit more cheeky if he wants to. And I think that's one of my favorite things about an elephant, is their personalities really do shine through for each elephant. Some are naughty, some are cheeky, some are just very shy. It's always an absolute pleasure being able to spend time with them. And very similar to that buffalo that I was talking about earlier, he's actually still looking pretty perfect as well, bar for one tear in his ear. He's just got a little bit of a tear on one side, and the rest of him looks completely intact. Normally you find a lot of holes and things in the ears, but I think being so young, he's got the advantage there. And just like those buffaloes, he's really enjoying this long green grass. Okay, he's moving off, so I'll see if I can keep up with him as he moves through the thickets, but let's head over to JP, who has found my favorite, some wild dogs.
Welcome back to Eco Trading Pridelands. At the moment we're following wild dogs, and they just missed the whole group of Impala. It's just amazing to watch how all of them scattered. It's a pity they are so incredibly fast. These guys can travel at speeds of almost 80 kilometers an hour when they are in a full trot. I'm just going to see if we can relocate them or find them. It's very, very difficult in this terrain, as the terrain is quite rocky as well as very overgrown. I just want to see if we can maybe get a gap inside here, see if we can find them. The group that we generally find over here is some 4 dogs, and they come in and out of the area on a regular basis. And sometimes they actually do find them up to some 90 kilometers away from where we are. With wild dogs, they can almost travel some 50 kilometers in a single day. And we see that they also have ranges of approximately some 450 square kilometers within the Kruger National Park and surrounding areas. It's interesting that their ranges are actually much larger when it does come to East Africa. They're almost 3,500 to 4,500 square kilometer ranges. I'm just going to try very hard to see if we can find them. As I've already mentioned, it's very tricky to drive in here, and I definitely won't be able to follow over this ridge, as we will definitely get stuck on a number of loose rocks here. It's maybe just worthwhile to go and see if we can find another road and see if we can relocate on them in that way. Just want to indicate the direction of the movement. There's another vehicle that's now coming to assist us. Hopefully a little bit of teamwork will pay off. If you are following dogs in a hunt, it's always best to work as a team, as you can lose them very, very quickly, as we've just now seen. It's one of her favorite animals, and it's definitely my favorite large predator. The reason why is they're phenomenal team players. That's it. Success. One of the reasons why they are so successful is their ability to work as a team. Quite often what we do notice is once they've lost sighting of their prey, they do link back onto the roads, and then they will walk and run down the road, weave off the roads, and then come back onto the roads to see if they can find another prey item. In the meanwhile, while we follow up, let's go and see what the rest of the team is up to.
As we look off into the distance of Chitwa Open, one of the most iconic fallen over marula trees, you will see a handsome young prince known as Maribs. Isn't this great, guys? I don't know how many times I've thought to myself, look at that marula. I mean, it's that big, chunky trunk that's been chopped in half. I don't know what happened to this marula. Isn't it the perfect place for a leopard? And lo and behold, look who is on it. And he's looking extremely fat. I mean, that's not a flattering angle, I must say. We will change angles as we go, but we're just letting the other vehicles enjoy. It's good to see him. It's good to see him back on Chitwa, because although I loved the fact that he was on Djuma, once he left Djuma, he went quite deep into Little Gowrie, and as wonderful as Little Gowrie is, it's not entirely ideal for us. And the grey skies, the misty morning, the grey colour of the marula, it all sort of blends into one, and then right in the middle, we have a leopard. Tandy, you're saying we're already having such an exciting morning. I know. I have to say, I've been missing my spots. It's been a bit quiet on the leopard front. It's because it is summer. I remember every single summer I've had here, this is normal. It becomes tricky to off-road. It becomes dangerous sometimes to off-road. And it becomes tricky to just spot things. With the rains can wash tracks away. But we've got Mr. Maribs. And this is the open area south of Chitwa Lodge, not the open area in front of it. And they do call this sort of Mike's Kitchen open area. Don't ask me why, I don't know the story. But this is exactly where we had Maribs the other night with the Torchwood Pride. It's exactly the same spot, except he was on a termite mound and not a fallen over marula, but still. This is perfect. Maribs is really the only leopard I've seen since coming back. I saw Tandy, not Tandy, sorry, I'm thinking of your name. I saw Kalamba with cubs on the 4th, but other than that, all my spot sightings have been Maribs. Ben, I'm just going to check my phone. Oh my goodness, it actually is Saturday. You're saying, what a Catterday. Nailed it. I didn't even, yes, it's Saturday. There's no change in structure to our days, really. I mean, there's no, our days, morning drive, afternoon drive, morning drive, afternoon drive, morning drive, afternoon. It's very repetitive, our routine. And that's not a bad thing. I think humans thrive on routine sometimes, but I thought that vehicle was going to ruin our shot, but it's okay. He's not. But I didn't realize it was Saturday. Davy is Saturday.
Now we know.
Now we know. Thank you, Ben. He's so fat. He's got to kill somewhere. I don't know where. We will go around and get his face. We'll just give it time. Hopefully we can stay here as long as possible. It's really not busy in the sands right now. There are just no vehicles driving Djuma at all, apart from us, and even in Chitwa. Even on the boundary lines, normally the boundary lines I cannot get from A to B without stopping to chat to people. It's just deserted. I don't know if it's the time of year or what. Summer can be quiet. Because of the weather conditions, we will get a lot of rain. And it's just so eerie with that completely grey background. We're working with a bit of a lack of light, and it's so misty and overcast. I'm convinced the sun is just going to pop out of nowhere. But in just a moment, we will take a wide berth round and go see if we can get a different view. Fred? You're saying the misty sky and the leopard's going to be your new screensaver. Oh, a lot of pressure on there for Davi. You got to give Fred a nice screensaver. Oh, we will do this for you. We're going to get his face. We're just going to have to take a really wide berth, get round there and see if we can get different angles. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Okay, we're going to slowly reposition and try and get a better view of Marib's face.
As a naturalist, it's really important that I stay up to date and up to breast with what's happening in the wild and in the world around us. The WildEarth app helps us do that and helps us stay abreast with the live interactions of animals every day. We're going to be here at Stony Point bringing you the African penguin story, and we'd love to see you on the app. See you on the beach.
Cape Nature is the chief custodian of the Western Cape of South Africa's natural environment. This highly successful organization strives to conserve the province's natural heritage to ensure a sustainable future. Besides nurturing nature, Cape Nature offers an authentic ecotourism experience to local and international visitors. And one of these experiences is walking amongst the penguins at Stony Point, or as we know it, Penguin Beach. WildEarth broadcasts live from here every day and is very privileged to be partnered with Cape Nature, who have focused their conservation efforts here. If you want to visit these iconic black and white African penguins for yourself, then head over to our website to find out more. Cape Nature. Conserve, explore, experience.
So there we go, look. All three in one frame. Look at that, isn't that cool? Oh, that is so special. That is exactly what we had been hoping for, is all three of them to come together and make the perfect little family portrait.
My name is David, and I love being a cam op because you get a front row seat to all the best sightings that WildEarth has to offer. Sharing it with everyone else, well, that's a perk too. What makes the WildEarth experience magical? Well, it has to be the fact that it's live and interactive. The sighting that'll be ingrained in my brain for life, watching a lioness kill 3 wildebeest during the migration in the space of about 20 minutes. My spirit animal, that has to be a monkey.
Thank you for sending me personal notifications there, everyone. Apparently this is Langa. It got called in as Maribes. We were really far away. Sometimes WildEarth stay in sightings a lot longer than other vehicles, so we'll just give them the sort of chance. And apparently it's Langa. Thank you all, for letting me know. Hello, Langa. I thought you were a boy. That's really rude of me. I do apologize. I got told you were Maribes, but you're not. Little Miss Sunshine. Okay, I think we're going to try and reposition. What do you think, Dove? Yep. Now that we've got the other vehicles are leaving. Langa's been around a lot lately. We have almost zero light. Oh, you look like your brother. Okay, I'm just trying to stay out of the way for the other photographers. Do you think we're good here? Okay. Aha! I spot a dead Impala in the tree. We've got a rain roof on. It's going to be fun for the old cameraman. She has a kill.
Where?
It's up here. I'm not sure you can see it, Dove. I don't know. I don't think you'll be able to see it with the rain roof. It looks like an Impala. Let me get my binos out. You know, I should have learned this lesson by now, not to always just go by what they say on the radio, but clearly I just have not learned that lesson. Yeah, it's an Impala. I can't see if it's male or female. This has to be one of the most, honestly, we drive around for 7 hours a day, guys. Sometimes it really exhausts you. It's a very tiring thing to do on the daily. So, you know, when you're driving with your cameraman, naturally you come up with lots of interesting topics of conversation. And, oh, is that a hairy caterpillar, Dovey? Do you want me to get it off you? Okay, Dovey has a hairy caterpillar on him. I'm going to get it off. I think it'll be easier if you do this. Yeah. Do you want me to help you?
It's okay.
Hairy caterpillars are gorgeous, but can do so much damage to a human. They can touch your skin and produce a severe allergic reaction. I'll do it. Come here. Excuse us, everyone. We got a hairy caterpillar situation. Okay, there we go. I can't remember what I was saying here. Yes, so we have lots of interesting conversations on the vehicle, that's for sure. And we do always talk about the perfect leopard trees. I know I've mentioned this before. There are just some trees that you just look at and you think, my goodness, I want to see a leopard in that tree. And this, on Chitwa Open, or Mike's Kitchen Open area, is the perfect tree. Okay, it's not standing upright, it's obviously fallen over, but it just makes for such dramatic scenery. She's stunning. I haven't heard of any updates of Sabi since I've been back. I don't know if she's just a little bit further south, and I wonder, again, just speculating now that I know it's Langa, that maybe that northern section of Sabu's territory, which sort of covers Chitwa, Little Gowrie, Main, Djuma, that sort of slice that we always get to see Sabu. I wonder if Langa will take over that part. Daughters inherit, if you like, or take over a slice of their mother's territory. She's watching Impala, but Langa, you already have an Impala. And then, of course, once they get that slice, they then make it their own. They'll push, they'll pull. They'll try to make it as big as possible. Tlalamba definitely did that, but I just wonder, because we're seeing Langa a lot now, which is quite unusual. We went through long periods of time of not seeing Langa, and I can understand why it was assumed to be Marieb's. This is his haunt. But it just shows you, we had Marieb's about 20 meters away from where Langa is the other night. They're all moving in similar areas, or all weaving through each other. This is so perfect.
So I'm actually headed towards Treehouse Dam, which is one of my favorite places to check here at Djuma. But we just wanted to stop. There's a bit of a clearing. We're up on a crest looking down across the valley towards it. And look how misty it is. It's such ominous looking weather. It is so beautiful. We actually can't see the top of the other crest, which is quite unusual. We're definitely more used to the clear skies. Okay, we're quickly heading over to JP with his wild dogs.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We've just relocated our pack of 4 dogs. The remainder of a pack of 4 is coming down the road straight towards us now. There's some impalas that have moved off, and I don't think they're aware of them. So we are going to watch them. Yes, they've just sighted the impala. The impala is directly onto our 1 o'clock of our vehicle. These dogs are now all focused on the impala. Let's see what happens. If there's any viewers that are squeamish, there is a very good chance that they are going to make a kill, as these animals are incredibly fast and they work incredibly effective as a team. And impalas is one of their favorite meals. Let's just sit and watch what's going to happen. Yes, I just love wild dogs. That's one of my favorite animals, as mentioned earlier, and it's the ability to work as a team that makes them so effective, but also the way that they look after their own young, as well as the old and the sick. They always make sure that everybody gets an equal amount of food, and especially when it comes to puppies, adult dogs will actually go hungry and go hunt again after they've regurgitated meat for the pups to make sure that they will actually be able to be successfully fed. Unlike lions, where they all just go everything for themselves. And what we do see with lions is that they even outcompete their own young when it comes to feeding. I'm just going to follow these dogs. They've now changed direction now. Impalas have gone into that thicket. I'm going to try and stick with them as long as possible. So one of the things that I've seen over the years with following dogs is that you can follow, and you think nothing is going to happen. And the very next moment, you'll see an explosive run as if they just go. And it's absolutely chaos. That's like we saw actually earlier this morning when impalas just scattered. And that's typical of impala. What they do is, as a group, they spot the predator, they scatter, and immediately they regroup. One of the things that we also see with impalas is that there's little black markings in the behind part of the feet. Those are known as metatarsal glands. And I reckon one of the functions of these glands is actually to create a chemical scent trail that will assist with them, that they can relocate one another as quickly as possible once they have scattered. Also, what we do find with impala is that once they leap, when they run, they also run at incredible speeds. Sometimes you also notice that they will travel at distances of 12 meters at arcs of 3 meters high when it comes to chasing predators. I'm just going to try and go, as they're being chased by predators, I'm just going to focus over here, see what's going on over here, put my vehicle into a little bit more traction, and then just slowly move forward in the hope that we can follow them. I think that we are going to struggle a little bit, as there's a little bit of a ridge in the front of us somewhere over here, which is incredibly rocky. Not going to get in here. Let's go and see what the rest of the team is up to while we actually try and see if we can find another road that is going to enable us to catch up with them.
Peaceful surroundings, the nature, it's not something I can get in my homeland. So it's wonderful to be able to be live, with you guys and feel like you're actually there.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
With wild dogs, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. We don't always get to see those, so that's just been amazing.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
I wanted to be part of the support of WildEarth. It brings so much to everybody, and everything has brought so much to me, especially, got me through some difficult times myself. I found WildEarth shortly before I was going to go through some things in my own personal life, and it's what got me through, and I know that's a story for many, many, many people, so it's important to me to provide support to that.
Wildlife trafficking remains a growing problem in South Africa, and often made worse by the way the media portray this complex issue. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, have recently embarked on a program whereby they train reporters to better tell stories of wildlife trafficking.
In my community, wildlife conservation is mostly something other people do, and I would like to change that. My name is Iman Singli. I told people I met that the pangolin is one of the most trafficked animals on the planet. But what is a pangolin, they said? Why is it in danger? This is what made me decide that the pangolin story must be told. If we are to play a part in preventing the extinction of this animal, then we must all be part of the battle.
A partnership between WWF South Africa and WESA, supported by USAID.
Hello, boy. You are a monster. And he's coming right up to us. Hello, boy. Oh, settle down. Settle down. He is very, very close. He's pushing his trunk against the car. You can feel the car moving. Hey, 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 hey. Stop that.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridens. We're still trying to relocate on our dogs. They've now moved off incredibly quickly after a group of Impala. What we're going to try and do is we're going to see if we can get to the next road and see if they maybe pop out over there. So one of the things that led me into this area after we lost them the first time was actually a big giraffe bull that was busy staring at them. Well, that's generally a very good indicator that there might be a potential predator on the ground. Giraffes have actually got phenomenal eyesight. I reckon they can see things like a lion up to 2 to 3 kilometers in distance. There was also a group of helmeted guinea fowls which was alarm calling in that block. And game bird species such as guinea fowl and Franklins and spurfowls are often very good indicators of potential dangerous animals or predatory animals in that case. It's not the only animals that we do make use of. Animals such as vervet monkeys, baboons, as well as a number of others like squirrels are very effective in actually indicating potential threats. Some antelope species as well. Some we find will actually alarm call for nothing and get startled for nothing. But when you do get to antelopes such as klipspringer, they're probably one of the most reliable of all the antelope species, indicating that there might be a threat in that area. Let's going to continue on this road and let's go and see what we can go and find. This is pretty much the general direction into which they were moving. So let's hope that they came out of this big block and that we can actually get another glimpse on them. Another vehicle in front of us that has started to help us, and they now at the moment also on the same road as that we are, so it's very likely that we haven't missed them, but they're still in this big block. A big Impala ram right over there, very relaxed, actually focused on us, so he hasn't been spooked by anything. Otherwise he would have, behavior would have been totally different at this moment. Let's just keep on and see if we can find them. Continue our search for the dogs. Let's go and see what Tessa is up to.
Good luck, JP. Definitely one of my favorite things to do, try and keep up with wild dogs. I am on Philemon's cut line, which is one of my favorite cut lines on the property, and I'm headed towards Treehouse Dam. There's some nice fresh elephant tracks in the road going down towards the dam area. The dam's off to my front right, but also a lot of hyena tracks that have been up and down, and in the middle of it all, tracks of a female leopard, but it looks like maybe from early yesterday, so not very fresh, not worth me following, but good to know that there's been a leopard in the area. Always nice when you can try and map out where they've been, and it just gives you a bit of a better understanding of who it might be, what they might be doing, territory. So I'm just bumbling along looking for anything on my way to the dam. And definitely admiring a bit of the weather. It's very strange this morning. Very misty, you can't see to the other side of the valley, which doesn't happen often here in my experience. Limited experience, granted, but I have spent some time here. It definitely seems like it's going to be a bit of a misty day all around. Misty, overcast, drizzling. But that is good weather for pretty much all of the predators, but also things like buffaloes and elephants. I'm very happy that I got to at least start the morning like that. Always makes a nice change to the scenery when you see the bigger animals. Fiona and I were actually just talking about is that it doesn't seem like there's an awful lot of insects and spiders out this year. And that's something that I'm always particularly fascinated by. It's one of the things that I studied at university. I did a degree in insects. And it's quite strange for me not to see many insects around. I don't know what it is this year. But we will see a few, I'm sure, now and then. Hopefully I find some for you. While I carry on towards Treehouse Dam, let's head back over to Lauren with Langa.
Little Langa has been so perfect here. That dark bark against her gorgeous coloration. You know, when you see her face, I know I thought it was Marieb's. But when you actually do look at Langa's face, her eyes, Sabi, Shasha, and Langa actually all have very prominent white lines under their eyes. I know all leopards do, yes, but with the three of them, it's very, very prominent, that white line, and it's sort of, they have a really unique eye shape, which is what I do use to identify them when you can see their face. Even Shasha and Langa are very similar, I feel. Obviously, Shasha is now taking on this sort of physique and behavior of a boy. He's getting big. He's getting that male leopard sort of swagger, if you like. Whereas female leopards, they stay very dainty and light, almost as if they're walking on their tippy toes, because they're so much smaller, they're so much lighter. But Shasha is definitely developing that really heavy, he's getting wider, he's getting stronger. But still, when you look at their eyes, I don't know if you'll all agree with me, but Shasha, Langa, and Sabi all have that really unique appearance to their eyes. So she's got to kill up a tree, which is good. She might be around for this afternoon. Hopefully she'll be around, and it's quite high up in the marula. The rain roof is blocking our view right now, but I mean, who wants to look at a dead impala? I wonder if any Nisi will be attracted. Something lover, did you get that, Dove?
It's broken up.
Yeah, our comms are not great in Chitwa. We're gonna just roll with it and work with it. But it's not amazing. But you're saying I've made your day, so either way, I'm happy. If I've made your day, then you've made my day for making your day. Oh, it's been an exciting drive. For my leopard, I'm sending you over to JP and his wild dogs.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We've just relocated on the dogs again, and it looks like the alpha dog that's directly in front of us. He's been pretty fast so far running down this fence line, and it looks like they're still on the trot for something to eat. We often see that they will swerve off into the vegetation. Here's a remainder of a pack coming from our left. Seems like they're coming regrouping now, and then they will probably run down the road again. Quite often what you see is one will go to the right, one go to the left. In this case, we're on a fence line now, which will make it a little bit more tricky for them to actually go towards any other direction than straight or left. Quite often I have seen dogs in the past actually utilizing electric fences and deliberately chasing prey species into those fence lines, and I hope that they can actually stun them. I've also seen that with lions, that they often do that. We're just going to follow the dogs for a short while. There's another 2 stations that would love to join us, and when it comes to working as a team, you need to sometimes just back off and allow others to also go and enjoy the sighting, because next time when it comes to working as a team, they're going to exclude you from the sighting. Very important that that's also just fair to everybody to also just get a good glimpse of the animals. I'm just going to pull off over here and then we'll get one last glimpse of them and allow the other two vehicles to come in. I just love how they use their ears as well to listen what's going on around them. Good morning, Rima. We're definitely having an action-packed safari, and when there's wild dogs in the hunt, you always have a lot of action. You'll also notice that each of these dogs have got their own unique individual coloration and pattern, and we can identify individuals, so therefore safely assume that they're also users for individual identification within a group. You'll also notice that they've got white tips to their tails, which obviously makes a very important feature as a following mechanism, that they can actually maintain group cohesion while they are actually following. I have also seen quite often that a number of individuals do get separated during hunts and chases. However, they will start calling and then they will regroup immediately. So when it comes to dogs, they're right almost at the bottom of the pecking order when it comes to feeding in terms of large predators and in terms of competition with other large predators. So one of the strategies that they've learned is to actually, by overcoming this, is to actually feed incredibly quickly. And it's amazing to watch these animals when they feed. I've watched them feeding on a bushbuck. There were some 22 dogs, and I timed it. It was 2 minutes and something seconds when the whole carcass was completed. On the other side of the fence line, there's a warthog that has now come to investigate what is going on. And he's keeping an eye on them, even though there's electric fence between them. A little bit of a predator inspection. I was wondering what the dogs were actually looking at. They might actually come back to us now to come and see what this warthog is doing. If I'm a dog, I wouldn't really want to mess around with a warthog. However, I have often seen in the Kalahari that they actually do hunt warthogs. I'm going to leave them, and I'm going to allow the other vehicles to come in so that they can enjoy the sighting too. Enjoy.
Look at that, it's amazing. Wow, hey.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, live.
Oh, that's cool. Just in there.
And the black mamba is going up the tree and the mongoose is attacking it.
He's gonna pounce again.
Sure, you can all agree with me. It's not a bad start to our Wednesday morning.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
Look at that. It's just beautiful. Fantastic display by a little herd of springbuck.
How is this view?
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Amazing, they've locked their tusks together. You can hear the cracking branches.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin, and it's completely unfazed by my presence whatsoever.
How insane is that animal?
Amazing.
Awesome. fantastic to watch.
Well, now we've got a tug of war between mom and daughter, look.
I'm just at a loss for words. That's just incredible to see that.
Past Treehouse Dam. Alas, it was just my blacksmith lapwings that were still there. But I'm very impressed at how it's filled up quite a lot. The first thing I noticed is that the log where the lapwings were when I was here, they were protecting a nest, is actually underwater. So it's definitely filled up quite a lot. And the roads next to the drainage lines are so overgrown. So thick, it's beautiful. And I think just in general, I'm quite taken aback at how much has changed in 2 weeks. It doesn't seem like that much can happen in 2 weeks, but there has been a lot of rain. Even the roads have changed. But it is very, very good to be back. It's good to be home. So my plan at the moment, I'm actually just checking along the drainage lines just to see if there is anything that might be coming up. The weather is clearing a bit, which is quite exciting. So I'm sure some of the animals are going to be moving around a little bit more now that there isn't that consistent drizzle. I want to see what we might bump into. I think those buffalo are probably headed towards Leopard Dam during the day. So what I want to do is actually check along the boundary where they came in to see if any lion tracks have crossed in behind them. Because that is one of the best things to do to try and find lions. If you find a herd of buffalo, it sounds horrible, but the reality of it is they will follow buffalo herds. So it's always good to go and check where buffaloes have moved to see if there's any lion tracks following them. Because at some point, inevitably, what the lions are hoping for is at some point there's going to be one older buffalo, one weaker buffalo, maybe a very young buffalo that might not be as fast and as healthy as the rest of the herd or not as well protected. So it's always worth checking because the lions will be hoping for an easier meal. That being said, I would not be brave enough to pick a fight with a herd of buffaloes. Maybe if I was a lion, I would. You can definitely hear more birds starting to call now as well, now that the rain has eased off a bit, the drizzle. Not an awful lot of insects. I have seen a few spider hunting wasps this morning. That's one of my favorites. Last time I was here it was mostly the carpenter bees, but not even that many golden orb web spiders or anything like that. That's strange. But the weather has also been very, very weird the last year and a bit. Hasn't quite been as predictable as usual. Oh, a nice big fresh pile of elephant dung. Maybe there's an elephant. We're actually approaching the area of twin dams now. So it is a very good area for an elephant to be with all the different drainage lines. Rusty has a lap of his own today. They kind of all come together here. Lisa, we have been very lucky this morning already. I think, well, I mean, it sounds weird, but I think we're going to find some Impalas today. I haven't actually seen many since I've been back. I think I've seen one. But I think with the weather, we'll probably see a few more elephants. Hopefully some lions. But I think, yeah, I think some elephants. Maybe the hyenas. That'd be a good one as well. But with weather like this, pretty much everything should be moving around, and there's not a very strong breeze, so the herbivores aren't going to be very, very nervous, which is great. definitely means that we've got a better chance of seeing more of them today. They won't be very skittish and running around and super alert. They will be more alert because the leopards will be more active, and so will things like the wild dogs. But they're not going to be jumpy because it's not a strong wind. So I think everything in general today is going to be a little bit more active. I think all the animals really do just appreciate the break from the intense heat on a day like today. So they really do maximize on it. They'll still come down to waterholes because they still need to drink. So it's not like they avoid the waterholes because it's cooler. But they do move around a lot more, and they're much more inclined to stand in the open as well. They don't need to shade hop. They don't need to dam hop. They can just relax and feed as usual in the open. Oh, it is so good to see more water. Lots of little pans as well that are filled up. On the side of the road, everywhere you go, there's pans. So that does make it a bit more difficult for us to find animals in that sense, because they don't have to move as far for water. But it is lovely because it obviously just gives everything this massive boost. Life out here gets a boost every time there's more water. So it does mean that there should be more insects, birds, reptiles, everything should be kind of coming out in force. Which is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What do we have at Twin Dams other than a lot of water? So good to see, am I word. Rusty is doing his own thing this morning. Totally fine though. Oh wow, I can hear a woodpecker. Look how peaceful it is. So there's a very, very light breeze. You can just see the surface of the water moving here and there. But it is so peaceful here and so many birds around. And I am actually seeing the odd insect, so that makes me happy. I think I'm going to spend a few minutes here and just see if anything comes and goes, see if there's anything I can hear that might mean something exciting. But yeah, I think just spending a bit of time at the dam this morning is not a bad plan.
Swatike emsabeni we baba babansati banhlupha we baba abafika endlini yami awungathi bangafike kathithimela we baba how city was the Friday, my darling, was the Friday.
This is that one, I don't know if you've seen guys make soap out of the leaves.
Yeah. Hey, my sweetie, was a Friday. Langa lingonile wena.
BirdLife South Africa, our country's only dedicated bird conservation organization. They have been very successful in a number of areas, including the conservation of more than 150,000 hectares of grasslands and estuary habitat, saving thousands of albatrosses in trawl and longline fishing, and training community bird guides as ambassadors for nature in rural areas. Celebrating their official 25th anniversary, they are sharing 25 of their top success stories across their social media platforms. BirdLife South Africa is currently striving towards the conservation of 132 bird species that are heading for extinction. If we conserve birds, we will protect other biodiversity and important habitats that provide clean water and clean air for humans. Their work is forever ongoing. People who love birds can become a member of BirdLife South Africa or make a donation towards a bird conservation project.
Guys, just watch what's happening. See, watch the elephants, watch the lions. See, the first ones to run are the cubs. I'm not sure how scared you were, but I was quite nervous. Absolutely incredible.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So sitting at Twin Dams, Owen actually spotted this monitor lizard behind me, which is quite nice to see because I have had very, very good luck with monitor lizards in the last while. And it's very good to see that even on such an overcast day, this monitor lizard is nice and splayed out. You can see it looks like it's been flattened like a pancake. It's actually just warming up on the bank of Twin Dams at the moment. And it's looking very, very dark. So we're actually trying to figure out if it's naturally just got darker markings or whether it's just still a bit wet. Maybe it had a bit of a dip in the water. Maybe it's still wet from the drizzle and it's out trying to dry out a bit in the heat. So even though it was cool overnight and even though it's been raining this morning, the ground still holds quite a lot of heat. And so it's still a great place for a reptile because, you know, this monitor lizard can't produce its own body heat. It has to rely on lying on termite mounds, sandy soil, anything that'll be warm to try and warm the belly in particular, where the scales are slightly thinner than on the back. But it is actually quite a large monitor lizard. It's not the biggest that I've seen, but it is quite large for a water monitor. And you can really see the length of the tail in particular. It's a formidable weapon, but more than anything, it's a great escape. Very quick escape. If you're a monitor lizard, or any of the lizards actually, the tail is a very important tool. Very sharp on the end and very, very quick to whip it around if they need to. You can hear there's quite a lot of birds that are active this morning now that the rain has eased a bit. And it's so good to hear them all again. There were some woodland kingfishers. I can hear the weavers in the background. A lot of doves. But it's actually turned into a very pleasant morning. For a while it was getting quite cold. Titizena, yes, these are very cool lizards. Monitor lizards are probably one of the most underrated things, I think. You know, they're quite hard to spot normally because they're so well camouflaged. Water monitors do tend to be out in the open a lot more, like this next to the water holes. It's quite easy to see them on the bank. But they can camouflage so well, and so often you drive past them without even noticing that they're there because maybe it's just the head sticking out or the rest of the body's hidden where you can't see it. And they're actually incredible predators. So it's always good to see them. But it is so lovely at this dam. I'm loving the bird calls. And I'm even seeing a few birds of prey that are popping out. So I'm going to spend a few more minutes here, just see how many of the other birds I can identify what comes along. And in the meantime, I will send you to Lauren, who is still with Langa.
Sighting. Once we leave, I don't know if we'll get back in. And look at that. You know, Darby, do you remember that sighting we had with Tlalamba doing the exact same thing? It's a very leopard pose. And the cool conditions really are the conditions that leopards are going to maximize in terms of to rest. Because when it's too hot, they do try to sleep. They absolutely do. But it's uncomfortable, even when they are in the shade. And at nighttime, they're very active. They're nocturnal. So this type of morning, these conditions are really, really perfect for a leopard to just go into a deep sleep. It's such a wonderful sight, and considering we haven't really seen that many leopards, I couldn't have asked for anything more.
Jordan, just carry on going south and you'll see us here. I'm about to pull up.
Now, Langa's at the stage that Tlalamba was at a while ago, where she's not territorial yet, but she'll be getting there. Not spending any more time with Mom. But she'll slowly start to set up a territory. And Nadia, you're saying lazy category for everyone. Langa's definitely feeling lazy, that's for sure. This is such a great vantage point, and because it is an open area, it's right on the airstrip, actually, to give you some context. We have a lot of sightings on that airstrip. It's a wonderful airstrip, and it's always sort of dragged. The sand is always smooth, which means it's really easy to pick up tracks for the guys on Chitwa. And know how fresh they are. But she can see from how she'll be able to see anything coming. She can see Impala. And she's enjoying watching the Impala, but she's already got an Impala. It's a really nice open area, and as I mentioned earlier, Mareebs always uses it. But I have a funny feeling Mareebs is starting to do what Shasha's doing, and that's exploring. It's coming to that time. Mareebs is going to start to be found on different properties. Hopefully Djuma is the one that he's found on the most. Langa, why are you being so perfect? Teach me to be that cute. Lynn, you're asking what's the best thing you love about leopards? That's a toughie. Now, Davi and I were actually having this conversation the other day, and we were saying how, what is it? The Sabi Sands, in all honesty, is leopard obsessed. It's real. The obsession is real. And I was asking Davi, what do you think it is? Because we sit at the den and we have the most incredible interactions with hyenas in terms of the interactions, the vocalizations, the behavior. And hyenas are so cute. But what is it? Why are they not the obsession? Why is it that people are just so in love with leopards? And Javi and I were both saying it's probably due to the fact that she's being too cute, Langa. I'm not going to look at her right now so I can concentrate. But they are elusive in nature. They're shy. They're not supposed to be these creatures that are habituated like this. And when you do follow a leopard, especially the likes of Tlalamba, she'll spend time with you, 100%. But when it's over, it's over. When Tlalamba decides that she's done, it's done. And it's almost impossible to keep up or track Tlalamba when she doesn't want to be seen. So is it that? Is it just the fact that they're absolutely stunning? I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I don't think any human being could ever say that leopards are not attractive. I have yet to meet someone. Is it that? What is it that draws us to leopards? So, Lynn, I took a bit of a long-winded approach to your question, but I don't know what I love about leopards. Because they are cats at the end of the day. They do behave in a similar manner to domestic cats, similar to lions, but why? What is it that draws me to leopards? I don't know. But I'm drawn to them 100%. I've definitely got the Sabi Sands. obsession. We all have. But I can't quite put my finger on it, Lynn, so I'm sorry I can't give you an answer, but I think it's a whole range of things. Susie, you're saying those ears. I just can't. She's just being too cute this morning. Oh, my cute aggression's coming on strong. Are you feeling the cute aggression, Darby? Now that you've not got a hairy caterpillar crawling all over you. But Lynn, that's fascinating. This is just, I don't know, the Sabi Sands is just famous for its leopards because they are so habituated, but I just don't know what it is. I'm guessing aesthetics has a lot to do with that. But I don't know. Hyenas are mammals. Hyenas have spots, but yet the obsession is just not there for hyenas. For me it is, but I'm talking generally. I don't know. They're just amazing. And the sort of interactions that we have with the leopards here are incredible. The way they are habituated, the way you can follow them, follow their lineage, understand these animals. If you go to the likes of Yala National Park in Sri Lanka, where you see this Sri Lankan subspecies, and it's not like this. You will see a leopard, but it is not like this. Good question, then. We're still getting to stay in this sighting. I think it's because it's just so quiet around here. Langa, what are you doing with your ears? Just being cute, are you? Practicing. That would make sense. Don't you think she's a double of her mom? What a tick there on her ear. Impala are all around. That's what she's watching. They either don't know she's here or there's some sort of recognition that she's not going to hunt them because she has one of them. Okay, we're definitely going to sit in this sighting as long as we can, and we're going to send you guys over to Tessa on a bumbo.
The sun is out, everybody. It's so exciting. The sun is out. But actually, what I noticed is while we were driving, there is a really big shongololo, a millipede, that is crossing the road in the sun. Well, actually, it's turned around now, but it's a really big one. It was coming towards the track, and now it's just done a complete 180. It's going back towards that very steep bank up to the side of the road, but it's moving quite fast. I'm quite impressed. Taking the slope like a champion. It's in low range 4x4, going straight for the grass. I've always loved shongololos. Everything creepy crawly when we were kids used to freak us out, but those were always a treat because their legs are really soft and they move quickly. Entertaining to watch. Nice to see some of the smaller things coming up now that it's warming up a bit, and this patch of sun has made my heart very happy. Very dramatic because we've still got clouds in the background and then a patch of sunlight. And this is perfect. This is when you want to find leopards or wild dogs. Really, really beautiful light for them. I'm actually checking the boundary. I'm busy, well, I'm on Gowrie Main now. I've come from Twin Dams. I'm going towards Triple M, which is the western boundary where the buffalo crossed in from. And I'm checking for tracks. So I'm hoping that we are going to find either tracks of a leopard, because I know tortoise parrot likes to hang around here, or maybe some talamati tracks. That would be very exciting. I'm just taking a nice relaxed drive through the corrugations on the road. I'm definitely enjoying the sunlight. It's so beautiful. Seems like as it's getting a little bit warmer now, things are really starting to pop up very quickly. Lots more birds, lots of beetles coming out. All the small things. Another shongololo crossing the road. Ah, dwarf mongooses. That is delightful. Okay, so I don't know if we're going to get a very clear view, but there's a little termite mound in front of us, and it's actually got just a little tip out of the grass there. There you can see the dwarf mongooses. How sweet. And believe it or not, folks, can you see the lizard? There is a lizard in amongst the dwarf mongooses. They look like they are coexisting quite happily, so you probably find that they are sharing that termite mound. So the lizard is using it to warm up, but probably also sleeps in the termite mound, which is the den site for the mongooses. How crazy. Sharing it quite happily. That is very unusual to see them all just sunning right next to each other. That's a first for me. I'm definitely going to sit here for a little bit longer and just see what happens, because I'd love to know how long they'll sit together like that in the sun.
Hello everyone, my name is JP. I'm one of your WildEarth eco-training bushwalk guides. So for many years you've been watching WildEarth directly from your laptop or computer. However, now you can watch it directly from your connected TV, your Apple TV, or from your Roku box. And if you are like me, always busy, you can now download the WildEarth app and view it directly from your mobile phone.
For those of you who love to join us on safari here on WildEarth, we have some news.
This is incredibly exciting.
The team have trawled through the archives and found the very best of Safari Live from over the years.
Come and disperse the...
With locations such as the Masai Mara in Kenya.
You can see how close he is from where I am.
Tswalu in the Kalahari.
It is absolutely incredible.
And of course, Pinda and Ngala right here on our doorstep.
Listen.
We have hours of great entertainment that is now playing on our channel. Catch up with guides from the past, and of course your favorite animal characters.
It's happening. I've never seen this before.
The best of Safari Live will be broadcast on WildEarth channel daily, so jump on board and join us down memory lane. Times for this brand new series are on our website.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
The bushwalk feed allows the camera person some creative license. This is my favorite style of shooting. You have to be mentally and physically prepared. You're shooting handheld in some very strange and contorted positions, always with a straight back, often in the squat position, low to the ground. The creativity comes down to the relationship and sync you have with your presenter. The more you understand each other, the more you'll be able to tell the story seamlessly.
We've still managed to stay in this hiding, and just in patches around us is blue sky, which is wonderful. I'm not sure if the sun really is going to burst through, but I hope it does. This would take this sighting to a whole new level, although it is already incredible.
Hi, this Langa with WildEarth and Tendai. Trevor, you can make your way. Thank you, Jordan.
It's starting to get a little bit busier. That's the problem when leopards are on the quiet front. Maybe one wants to see them. Sabi did incredibly well with Shasha and Langa. They're both thriving. They're both wonderful. Not quite adult, but getting there. And then, of course, the next litter she had that Davi and I got a chance to see on the Annette strain, those didn't make it. And it's really nothing to do with the ability to be a mother. It's so circumstantial. It's so depending on so many factors. And, of course, it just takes a predator or an enemy to come by and you lose your offspring. And I do believe Sabui's been mating again, so it's good news for her future. No, don't put your head the other way, girl. I love the dangly legs. And really, a leopard will jump into any tree if it has to. I've seen Tandy trying to escape Darkmean and jumping into some not so stable trees with not thick branches, sometimes even thorns. If they have to, they will. But of course, a marula, a jackal berry, even a cluster leaf with those straight, thick branches are perfect to lie on. Spas, you're saying so nice to spend so much time with this cat. Isn't it just? Rowan got really lucky with Langa. I think he had quite a few sightings with her. But generally speaking, that's not always the case. We don't always see her. She spent a lot of time in her younger days on Little Gowrie. And it's just not a property that we have official traverse. And when she comes on Chitwa or Gowrie Main or even Djuma, that's when we can really spend time with her. James Richard, you've just reminded me. I call this leopard Kopona, but I know I think her name has changed and she's moved and she's now the Klebe Rocks female, which is Sabui's other daughter, and she's now a mother. So that means Sabui is now a grandmother. Thank you for reminding me. I've never met this leopard, but I've always called her Kopona. And that's what happens when leopards move from their natal area and they go quite far into a different area. Sometimes they get different names. But thank you for the reminder. Granny Sabui. In terms of leopards, the populations are just thriving in the Sabi Sands. Okay. We're going to get on the radio and see if we can stay in this sighting a little bit longer, and you guys are going to head over to JP.
Welcome back to Eco Training Prylands. At the moment we're at Treehouse Dam and we're waiting for an elephant to appear from behind the thick vegetation, and hopefully he's going to come and have a drink. If we do look at the levels of the dam, it's considerably lower compared to last year when we had a much higher rainfall season. What we also did see is that the rains actually started much earlier already in 2020. And they actually started already in September and October, which is quite unusual. We do find that our rains can extend even into the first few weeks of May. It just all depends how far south the tropical convergent zone is, which pushes a number of different pressure systems further south, which is one of the things that sets up our rainfall in the northern parts of South Africa. And what happens is we generally find that there's a lot of warm, moist air that gets fed in from the Indian Ocean over the interior, and the combination of a lot of warm, moist air, heat, and that all creates rainfall for us in this part of the country. Generally here from April to May, that's the end of our rainfall season, and that pretty much starts being the mark of our winter months as well, which is much drier. We'll also notice at that time that the small pans would dry up and animals will all become forced to come to the larger water bodies. And these larger water bodies then also often are areas where predators will wait for animals to come for a drink. There's still a lot of hope for us in terms of rain, as last year this time we actually had a tropical cyclone that came through, if I remember roughly, on the 24th of January with the name of Eloise, which brought a lot of water to the low veld and also a lot of flooding to certain low-lying areas of the Mozambique coastal plains as well as the low veld region of South Africa. These tropical cyclones often occur in areas where there's warm oceans, and when those warm oceans are temperatures increase above 27, 28, 29 degrees Celsius, that sets up the perfect amount of moisture and energy for tropical cyclones to start moving about. They generally move from north to south in our part of the world, and as soon as they head over land, they start losing their intensity as they need that warm, moist water. They can, however, reoccur along the coastline. Sometimes we find that the effect of these tropical cyclones also can bring rain over areas several hundred kilometers further. So if you ever wondered where tropical cyclones get their name from, you'll notice that they will often be at least, they will be named according to alphabetical numbers, and that alphabetical number will indicate which cyclone it is for the season. In the case of Eloise, which we had last year, that would indicate the 5th tropical cyclone which has come through this area. In the past, they were always named after women. However, now these days, they are a little bit more politically correct, and they will alternate between a male as well as female name.
Nothing beats sitting around a campfire at night whilst on safari, listening to the calls of the wild and chatting to your guide. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, then you can enjoy this from the comfort of your home. Imagine hearing bush stories from your favorite WildEarth guide and reliving their highs and lows of a life spent in the wild. Every month, WildEarth explorers will be treated to an exclusive fireside chat, special occasions, hot topics, and deep dives into the WildEarth characters.
Everything else is just welling up inside of you out in nature. Some people think I'm weird, but I have an absolute joy. I have a good time.
Now, I enjoyed myself thoroughly today.
WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature.
It has been a wonderful privilege to identify one of our key characters here at Penguin Beach, Pepper, with a very, very distinct facial patterning, as the name would suggest, very peppered and speckled belly. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this penguin does over the next few days and months. Because of those unique markings, it's going to be really, really cool to watch it as it moves around the penguin colony here at Stony Point.
This warthog is in big trouble. He's got elephants all around. What are you going to do there, big guy? What are you going to do? Oh, he's pretty brave though. Oh man, he's not even moving. Look, that elephant is trying his best, but that warthog ain't budging. That's madness. That's so funny. And we have a winner. The warthog wins the standoff.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
Funniest question I've been asked. There have been so many. You can almost do a little anecdote book just on guest questions. Sort of been asked, do you know which trees do elephants roost in? That's a tough question to answer with a straight face. Someone asked me if a windsock was for feeding giraffes.
The amount of tracks that we've seen this morning is actually quite impressive. Not all of them are very fresh, but there have been corrugations. There have been very fresh hyena tracks, and then one set of fresh lion tracks coming up this road. And so my heart is racing a little bit because I'm hoping that the lions are somewhere here off of Triple M. It was just one single track, one set of tracks I should say, so one line, not the rest of the pride, and going up in this direction following hyena tracks, so definitely smelling or hearing something that they're all moving towards. So I'm just taking it really slow as I'm looking for any flicking tails, flicking ears, listening for any intense sounds. Obviously that can be quite challenging when you're driving, but if there are loud sounds you should still hear them. And then I'm obviously still checking for tracks as well. It seems like they might have crossed onto the left hand side here, so the right is Djuma, we can't go in on the left. But you never know because they do tend to move a lot, and I know that the lions have been moving quite a lot within their normal territories. They have been shifting it up a bit, and so as much as this would normally be where the Nkuhumas might be, this could actually also be the Talamatis. Last time I was here I followed them straight over this boundary just north of where I am now, so they have been moving a lot within the territory. So it's actually also quite exciting not knowing who you're going to find. If you're in the center of a territory and you find lion tracks, you know, okay, it's probably going to be that particular pride of lions. But where we are, it is a guessing game until we find them. That makes it a lot more exciting because we never know what we are going to find. Elephant tracks this morning too. Xenia, heightened sense. Oh, that's a tough one. I think I would probably go with better hearing. Purely because, I mean, I'd love to have phenomenal eyesight, which, I mean, clearly I don't because I wear spectacles anyway. But I'd love to have incredible eyesight. I think it would be pretty life-changing. For me, just to see normally would be great, but better than that would be, you know, brilliant. But I don't know, I think I would probably go with hearing over smell, because as cool as smell would be to be able to smell where things are, there's a lot of bad smells, and I don't really think I want all the bad smells accentuated as well. So Yeah, I think, my favorite smells I can smell regardless of how good my nose is. The wild dogs I can smell, the elephants I can smell. So I'm fine with that. I'd rather not have all the bad smells accentuated. But I think having a better sense of hearing would be very cool, because then you could sit and you would be able to hear much further. You'd hear animals feeding from a distance. You hear animals calling from much further away, and then you could use that to locate them as well. So I think it would be a toss-up between that and eyesight. But I feel like hearing would be, I don't know, to me that would be more fascinating almost, because I can see, obviously I can't see kilometers, but I can see pretty well, but I can't hear that well. So I think I would go with hearing over anything else. It's an interesting question, because I think every person would be so different with their answer. I mean, thinking about animals and how they do things, their senses are incredible. They are honestly just... It's difficult to even comprehend how well animals can hear and see and smell and feel. They can feel each other from the vibrations. It's just, oh, wow. Nature is a wonderful thing. Corrugations have gotten a lot worse since the rain, I can tell you that much. I'm getting quite a bounce. So this is actually almost exactly where I followed the Talamatis last time I crossed over. So I'm definitely starting to get quite excited. I'm hoping that I end up finding something along the boundary, and it's always worth checking, so I'm happy that I'm coming along here. We'll see what pops up, but in the meantime, we'll head back to Lauren, who's still with Langa.
Langa is on the move, everyone. I really hoped she would go up that tree. It was going to be difficult for us with the rain roof, but we would have made it work. I can see her, Davy. I don't know whether she's going to go to sleep. Yeah, I think the views are going to be pretty poor, but we'll give you one last view of her, and then we may check around Chitwa. Okay, Davy's got her here. Definitely not as cinematic or incredible as before. Langa, Davy's very upset with you because as the sun came out, you moved. But this is the thing, the sun is out, so it's hot. Staying on that log probably made her feel really hot, so she wants to stay near her kill. Anna Marie, you're saying Langa is content and relaxed. Oh, yes. You know, Langa's a funny one. Sometimes she's not amazing around vehicles. She's not scared. She just sometimes... She was never always as relaxed as her brother. And sometimes you find that the males just have this really relaxed, I don't care attitude, and the females not so much. But recently she's been just... absolutely adorable. Well, I think these views are pretty much 0 out of 5. So we are going to keep bumbling around Chitwa and see what else I can find. Are you ready, Davy? We're pulling out. Enjoy. Wendy likes to give me frights these days, I tell you. WildEarth leaving the lock of Langa, 1 station on lock, space for 2. Okay. We're just going to get out of this open area. And I mean, look at it. It is so beautiful. It is stunning, stunning area. All the Impala over here somewhere. Well, not all the Impala -1. And we're just going to get back onto the road. We'll go past the dam, see if anything's happening at Chitwa Dam. We'll pop past the Hyena Den, and before you know it, it'll be breakfast time. Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. Love it. Okay, off to the dam we go, see what else we can find, and now we're going to send you guys over to Tessa.
Oh, Chitwa Dam, I can't wait to go back there. Such a beautiful place to go and sit. Lovely, lovely plan. So I'm still driving on Triple M very slowly. I am actually at a spot where I was just telling Owen when I'd first arrived at Djuma, I kind of got a lay of the land a little bit from Tristan, the Leopard whisperer. And of course we found Tortoise Pan. He was mating at the time. And it was actually here, and I was just talking about the off-roading and how crazy it was. It was so thick. But every time I'm on Triple M, I think of Tristan with Tortoise Pan, because I think we saw him twice in 2 days, almost in the same place, off of Triple M, just behind us. It was crazy. Definitely lots of special things that happen out here. And it's amazing how, even then I didn't know the reserve at all, but I'll still be able to pinpoint those spots where we saw things. Ah, snail! I'll still be able to pinpoint where I saw things, and it's just from memory of looking at the bush. Hello, snail. Seems like all of the small things are out in the road today. Unusual. So this is actually quite a small snail. It's a giant African snail, or a giant land snail is the name of it, but this is a very small one. So not a very old one at all. The biggest I've seen is probably a shell the length of my hand. And I'd say this one is just a few centimeters, so it's quite a little one. But nice to see it making its way across the road slowly. Wonder where it's going. The life of a snail in the African bush. So it's a small creature like this, obviously it wouldn't be very easy for us to follow it around all the time, but I think it would be very interesting to film some of the smaller things like this, especially something as slow moving as a snail, just to see how far it actually can go in a day, what it does. I think it takes it probably a solid half hour just to cross the road. Yeah, very slow moving. But they are actually quite fascinating. They take so long to build their shells, and the shell gets bigger and bigger every year. Janet, yes, animals actually can lose their senses just like we can. They can go blind with things like cataracts in old age. They can lose their sense of hearing. They could definitely lose their sense of smell. And so just like us, as we get older, all of our senses start to fade, our bodies get old, the joints start to get sore. The same thing will happen in animals if they get to that old age, old enough. But there's also things like freak accidents. You know, there might be an injury to the eye, a thorn to the eye, or an injury from fighting, anything like that. So they definitely can lose their senses, and it can be quite devastating for them. You can imagine out here, you know, you're relying on those senses to survive. If you're something like a lion and you've got a pride to protect you, it's very helpful, or even something like a wild dog. But if you're all on your own, an old leopard, for example, if you're going blind and deaf, you know, chances are you're going to struggle a little bit more. So it's definitely something that animals go through. That being said, you know, living in the wild, animals dying of old age is not as common as animals dying from things like fighting or being predated, things like that, because of the environment we live in. You know, an older animal, especially an older herbivore, is an easy target for lions and leopards and wild dogs because they are slower, because their senses might be a little bit dulled. And so usually before it gets too extensive, those animals will end up being killed anyway, which is quite sad to think about. But you know, it's pretty rare, especially for things like predators, to make it to such an old age that they die purely of old age. And the best example I can think of is Safari, the leopardess. She was 19 years old when she died, and that for me is just mind-blowing. That is so old for a wild leopard, and for her to get to that age in general is an achievement. And she was getting very, very old, and she died of old age as far as I'm aware. But it's a very interesting concept. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, Tingana. That's my boy.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Wow, what a way to start off.
Bright colors, and it attracts the insect to the flower, which is exactly what we're watching right now. This is so exciting. There's two.
Hello, Mama. It's all good. Hi. Hi.
The smallest baby blackback jackal I have seen in the wild. Look how full the belly is.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin. They just make me feel alive.
That is incredibly sweet. Grooming each other.
Play is vital. This is how they learn. This is how they would tackle prey.
There you go, there you go. There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill. There's nowhere to go.
It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, live.
There she goes, going for the youngster. She got it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look at that.
It is insanely good footage.
We are leaving Chitwa now, and what a wonderful morning. Dog is smiling. Leopards make anybody happy. Well, sorry, I lied, not these guys. You guys are not happy when we see leopards, are you? There's a lot of big bachelor herds, and if you look at this male, yeah, this one right here, he's fat. His coat is so thick and shiny. When he turns, well, not fat, but you know what I mean, he's filled out, and when he turns around to look at you there, you see all the rolls in his neck. His neck is enlarged. Impalas are just in really, really good condition. I haven't seen any mange around on any of the animals. You don't often actually see it on Impala, but it's quite common to see on Inyala and Kudu. Everyone's in really good condition, and that is because vegetation's so lush, water is all around, life is thriving out here, it's pulsating, the vibration of summer. And you can just see from a mile away they're in really, really good condition. It's not on the back of a drought. It's been a year or two of plentifulness. I don't know if that's a word. Sometimes we talk so much out here, we start making up words. Okay, we are going to keep bumbling. Just want to pop in at the hyena den. It's a timing thing. It is all about timing. Hopefully Langa will be there this afternoon. I imagine she will be. There's plenty meat left on the kill. And it's stashed night and it's in a really good branch. Sometimes you see kills that are stashed and it's... yeah, the leopard has not done a great job, shall we say. All the dwarf mongoose running across the road. Oh, talking of mongoose, I believe JP has some for you.
Good morning and welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. I'm talking very softly because we've got a group of dwarf mongoose in front of us, and they do disturb quite quickly at times if you are talking either too loud or make sudden rapid movements. What you'll also notice is that there's a red-billed hornbill that's sitting very close by to them, and he's been following them as if they were disturbing insects. And they often do so, and in a mutualistic relationship, we also find that this relationship extends to yellow-billed hornbills. And I've seen yellow-billed hornbill actually doing this also in the Kalahari, following meerkats, which is one of the close relatives to a dwarf mongoose. So in Southern Africa, out of all the mongoose species, there's only 4 of them that are social. And the dwarf mongoose, being our smallest of the mongoose species, is one of those 4 social species. And in this case, we also find that the group is led by an alpha male and female, and the alpha female in this case is also 30% larger than the others. That's very few species of animals where I know that we have a matriarchal society, and that also includes elephants. Let's see what they're going to get up to. They also tend to be very, very curious. Actually, when it comes to these little predators, they're also incredibly effective little hunters. And I've actually once or twice seen them taking small little mammals together, and that means little mice. And in the past also, where I watched 4 of them actually pulling a bat out from underneath a log and killing it and devouring it. I reckon they're as effective as the African wild dogs that we saw this morning. One of the things that we'll also notice with them is that they move around within a territory, and what they will do is they try and move through their territory in approximately 27-day average. And the reason why is that's the duration of what their scent lasts. And if they don't demarcate their territory by means of scent, that will tell other groups of dwarf mongoose that the area is not occupied, and then they will try and take that territory over. There's a little trick that I was taught by my trackers many years ago. If you do want to get the attention of a dwarf mongoose, you can just imitate a call that sounds something like this. Let's see if it works. They've got quite a wide range of different calls that indicate different things, but this seems to be one of the contact calls that they use, and already two of them is coming a little bit closer. Let's see what they get up to. When it comes to imitating calls of animals, I do believe that it's fair game if you can attract animals such as a wild dog or a lion or a dwarf mongoose by imitating the call. However, you should never be using electronic methods actually of calling up animals. And you also should be doing it very, very sparingly when you are going to imitate the calls, as you don't want to upset the animals and alter their behavior in any other manner. A few years ago, we actually noticed a guy that was playing a call of a lion from his vehicle on his mobile phone, and that infuriated the two big male lions that were moving down the road, and they thought that there was an intruder in their territory and that the intruder was inside their vehicle. So you have to really, really be careful with doing things like that, as it's not fair on the animal either. When it also comes to playing calls for birds, as a bird guide, we were taught to also use calls very sparingly. We also were taught to play them very soft. And in general, when we do play those calls, we will play them roughly at 20-second intervals. And after the third attempt of playing it, we stop playing. It either means that the bird is not going to respond or the bird is not there. Quite often we find that birders tend to overplay in areas, which leads to the birds no longer responding to that call either. A few other important things when it does come to using electronic methods of calling up birds, it's also not to do it in a breeding season and when they are close to nest, as this can often break up a pair or that's busy nesting in that area, or force the male to move off. And the reason why we play those calls incredibly soft is that male can think that it's a much more dominant and more intimidating male that's calling. Something else that we were also taught in terms of call-ups when it comes to birds is when you are playing specifically for owls, you always start off with your small owls and then progressively move up towards your larger owl species, which you can find in that area. And the reason is the smaller owls often are predated on by the larger owls, and that will be intimidated by the sounds of that more dominant and larger owl species. But for me, I personally prefer to imitate bird calls myself and rather see if I can call them out. Sometimes what I will do also is, if I can't imitate that specific species, I'll simply use the calls of a pearl-spotted owlet. And by imitating the owl, you also mainly see that there's a number of birds that will come and investigate to see what is going on. I also will use some general alarm calls, which sounds like something like shh, 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 and that also generally attracts a number of birds to come and investigate.
Finally found a herd of impalas, everybody. Finally. They didn't stick around in the frame, but I saw them. And it was a nice big herd. All the lambs are getting so big. There were still one or two that were kind of, we call them lark lummokies in South Africa, but later than the others. So they're still very small. It's so good to see them, and I think it might be... Well, I'm quite close to quarantine. I was actually up at Sandy Patch, so there might be a resident herd there with their own imposter, with their own wildebeest, but I know that the same is up on quarantine, so I don't know if it's the same herd or if it's different herds, but very nice to see my locals. It's quite strange to think that my first morning in the bush, the first things I saw were not impalas, elephants, buffaloes, all the cool things, and then impalas right at the end now that it's sunny. Very, very happy. My plan from here is actually, I've done the whole of Triple M. I'm now coming back down Vuyatela access. I'm almost back where we had the buffaloes this morning. So I just want to check on top of these buffalo tracks if there's been anything else coming in, and then I actually want to go around and check the drainage line where they were moving towards. Just see if they might be around there or if anything else might be around there, because it is the drainage line that feeds into Kruger Dam. So it's a very good area to check, especially now that it's heating up a lot. Buffalo are very water dependent. They have to go and drink every day. And a lot of other animals will be the same. Elephants might be starting to come down, impalas even, wildebeest. So it's always a good idea once it started heating up to go and check those water holes. Oh, hello buffalo. Buffaloes, we've got some stragglers from the herd still. I think they've had some bachelors following. Almost exactly where I left them this morning, which is a bit strange. They must have moved back. They'd kind of moved off a bit. Now they look like they're coming back again. Maybe they decided to sleep in a little longer after we left. Yeah, very close to quarantine still. Got some to the side and some to the front. It looks like the herd is definitely still around and disappearing towards some shade, it seems. And I don't blame them at all. Now that the sun is out, it is much hotter, and having a black coat, buffaloes can struggle sometimes to stay cool. In fact, I can't see a single one in the sun anywhere anymore. They're all kind of hiding in amongst the bushes underneath some of the marulas, looking for shade. So I definitely do think that from here, because this is where they were this morning, that they're going to start heading towards the dam just now. So I'm going to spend another few minutes here just to see if they do decide to move, or maybe they'll come out and start feeding again. And just see what they get up to, because it's unusual that they've stayed in the same space for so long.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a WildEarth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
This is incredible. Looks like vivid monkeys do sometimes go for swims. I heard something splash, but we couldn't see what it was in the long grass. Now I just saw that thing swimming there. This is incredible. I hope it gets to the bank. There are crocodiles in this dam. And it looks like, you see that monkey climb up into the tree? Wow.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson, and I come to you live every day from Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy in South Africa. The wild animal I think is most underrated. I think buffaloes are the most underrated. They're so tenacious and ferocious, and also very, very protective of each other, which I find incredible. You know, sometimes people think of the big five, they just think of lions and leopards and other big animals, but I think buffaloes are pretty underrated.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
I love being a cam op for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Big bird in a tree, everybody. I actually stopped because I thought from a distance that this was a juvenile Wahlberg's. Well, I was maybe hoping it would be. But now that we've got it on camera, I think it's the Wahlberg's. We are in Wahlberg territory. Just a quick update before I do forget, we did check the Hyena den and not active. Just before I do forget. Yeah, it's the Wahlberg's. We hear them calling to each other almost every day, most in the evenings. And I won't play the call right now, even though this bird is really, really far away. I just won't do that, but I'll play it a little bit later. Wahlberg's are actually smaller eagles, smaller than the Tawny, definitely smaller than the Marshall. And when we first drove, she's very, very far away on that famous Scotia of ours. It just looked massive because this bird is sitting right at the top of the tree, but actually I think it's just an illusion. I love Marshalls, that's why I was really hoping to shoot the Marshall eagle. Some incredible sightings with them in Namara, as many of you know, working on the Namara Raptor project. They've really got a great thing growing there. A morning where the sun is just shining and everything just went right. Well, almost everything. And we are in Wahlberg territory, as I mentioned. The male normally sits on a tree behind us. He's not there. This should be the female, if I'm not mistaken. We follow our pairs as much as we can, our Wahlberg's pairs. And I think that's pretty special. Obviously in the Mara, they tag them, and they really do know their Marshall pairs. Marshalls are monogamous, so they really do know them. And of course, they get the GPS and all the data from the tags. But I think without having tagged an animal, it's very special to be able to follow them, like we do Missy's wig, and like we did with Batilda and parents. I think there's something very special about that. And at least I got out of my Klalamba loop for a while. You get stuck in this rut because you feel you've been checking every road that you think she might use. Checking for tracks, so you know what tracks are on that road. And then if you don't check that road for a day or two, you start to feel, I'm not checking that road. What if she's on that road? And what if there's tracks and I'm not keeping up to date? And etc., etc. Stunning though, look at that blue sky from behind. But let's bumble on, I think. We are on Twin Dams Road after all, aren't we always? And see what else we can find on the road. Javi, you described it very nice last night. It hugs the Mowati. I've never heard it be bit like that before. We were talking about roads last night again. We're really boring people, actually. And that's perfect. Twin Dams Road hugs the Mowati. It runs right alongside it, with all the pans along the way, and takes you directly to Gowrie Dam. And that's why it's such a great road. It's not great though in terms of driving. It's rather bumpy. Needs some TLC. But in terms of position and location, it's ideal. I went in the Mawati yesterday, and although we didn't stay for too long, I didn't see any signs of the wigs. They'll be there. I think I need to get off on foot and sort of look up in all the jackal berries. But it doesn't look promising for Twiglet, I'm afraid. Okay, I'm going to head back a little bit closer to camp, and we're going to send you guys over to Tessa.
I have left the herd of buffaloes. They are still relaxing in the shade. They haven't moved too far, so I'm sure when it gets hotter they're going to be coming back down towards the dam. I'm actually taking the link road now, so I'm going towards Mvubu Road, which is one of my favorite roads, that southern section towards the dam. And there's a lot of hyena tracks, but I thought I saw a leopard track in amongst, underneath the hyena tracks. So I'm just checking very, very slowly to make sure I'm not missing it if it is one. But the soil is nice and sandy here, which is a massive advantage when you're tracking. But I think it's actually more likely just the hyenas that have been having a really good time. They had a bit of a party in camp last night. Their tracks were everywhere. Quite a lot of noise as well, so I'm guessing that the hyenas have been very active the last few days. But it is heating up substantially now, so I am going to go and check the dam and just see what might come along. I haven't seen any fresh tracks close to or around the buffaloes, and so they're also very relaxed. That makes me think that there is nothing close by that is following them. But you never know. I mean, they do make quite a bit of noise with all of their scuffling around and feeding, and they constantly kind of butting heads, and so that does attract a lot of other animals, things like hyenas, but also things like lions. And so maybe if they do settle here for a while, especially since they've been there the last few hours, they might be attracting predators throughout the day today, so you never know what will happen. Yeah, there's a lot of hyena tracks. Chris, no, it's quite unlikely for new males or new dominants within a buffalo herd to kill other calves, because they have a slightly different structure to what you would normally find with things like lions, where they would kill other cubs if they're not their cubs. I'm going through a dip, so if I lose signal, bear with me. I think it'll only be a second or two, hopefully not, although. But essentially what happens, Chris, is when a new dominant takes over, he will then just start mating with those females, and he will kind of keep everyone else in line. He doesn't necessarily kill the calves. I mean, in hippos you do see it sometimes. I know that we saw it at Chitwa Dam with Lauren. So it can happen. It can happen that a male buffalo can injure or kill other buffalo calves. It's usually intentional, though. It's usually just a bull that gets a bit raced for whatever reason, and the calf gets in the way accidentally. So it's not very likely to find buffaloes killing calves at all, because they kind of rule the herd together as a group of males. They would then also split the calves. The most dominant would be the one mating the most, but the other bulls definitely get a chance. Cool. It is heating up fast. I'm quite enjoying this, actually. Especially along all the little drainage lines like this is where you want to be checking now that it's heating up, because it's the coolest place. There's lots of shade, there's a breeze that goes through the drainage line, and it's sheltered. And it leads to water, usually, if you follow them. So that's also a very good thing, because now animals are going to be moving towards the waterholes. Any time from now, I should say. It's only very recently heated up this much. have been quite impressed with the amount of fresh tracks this morning. It is very helpful that it was drizzling, because then any tracks that happen kind of make a bit more of an impression than you would find on a normal hard road. But also we've been very, very lucky with sandy roads as well. Not everything has stayed very wet, so any sandy road you'll find some really nice tracks. Harder roads like this will be a little bit more difficult to track on. But I'm going to carry on. I'm about to go through another drainage line and then I'll arrive at the dam and we'll see what we find on this road. I've got a good feeling.
If I could take you on safari all day and all night, I would. But unfortunately, it's not always the best time to see the animals. Now, in between safaris, you can watch the WildEarth channel with loads of extra shows. If you have a connected television, Apple TV or Roku box, then download the WildEarth app, and if not, then just find it on the App Store on your phone.
Cape Nature is the chief custodian of the Western Cape of South Africa's natural environment. This highly successful organization strives to conserve the province's natural heritage to ensure a sustainable future. Besides nurturing nature, Cape Nature offers an authentic ecotourism experience to local and international visitors. And one of these experiences is walking amongst the penguins at Stony Point, or as we know it, Penguin Beach. WildEarth broadcasts live from here every day and is very privileged to be partnered with Cape Nature, who have focused their conservation efforts here. If you want to visit these iconic black and white African penguins for yourself, then head over to our website to find out more. Cape Nature. Conserve, explore, experience.
Our bodies are made up of about 60% water, which means that in a very short space of time, you can dehydrate completely. A relatively efficient way of collecting water early in the morning is to take an absorbent material like a sock and to walk through the grass, absorbing the condensed dewdrops on the grass. Once the material is saturated, you can then squeeze it out into a container, or you can suck it out directly into your mouth.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed. We've just arrived to Gowrie Dam, and the usual suspects are here, might I add. Dewey, or is it Dewey? Really? I'm not sure.
If you copy me, there's somebody here on power line.
What I am looking for, though, is the thickney and chick. I see it at night time when I'm on the dam cam, but I really struggle to find it during the day. Have you seen the thickney chick dove?
I haven't.
It's tiny and really adorable, but I'm struggling to find it. I can see the geese family. Can you see them at 9 o'clock? But I can't find the thickney. I'm going to keep trying, or it'd be really nice to have some daytime visuals. They are crepuscular or nocturnal, so during the day they will just sort of be sitting like a statue. And now that that little chick is getting bigger and bigger by the day, maybe they've just moved to another safe spot. They also blend in very well with the background thickneys. You wouldn't think it, but they are actually quite camouflage. Are there still 7? It's impossible to count. It's so peaceful. Gowrie Dam's definitely got the next sort of amount of life, if that makes sense, after Chitwa. Chitwa's full of life, my God, it's the best dam. But Warthog Dam, Treehouse Dam and Twin Dams, they're great. I love them, especially Twin Dams. But in terms of life around, Gowrie Dam definitely comes in a close second. Daniel. Oh, the chicks. Sorry, I'm looking at the view thinking, oh, you're talking about the Egyptian geese chicks. Yes, they are so cute. They are adorable. And of course, there's a high mortality rate. There's a family on Chitwa I wanted to show you this morning, but naturally, we were with Langa, and the chicks are big. They're still with mom and dad, but they're a lot bigger than this, and it's actually very sweet. We'll see if we can maybe show you them this afternoon. They grow fast, of course, but they do stick with mom and dad quite some time. Let's just sit for a moment. You know, we don't do this often enough. Just listen to all the sounds, because the sun is really getting higher now, getting warmer, so there's going to be a different kind of buzz from the overcast morning. And you can feel like you're sitting here on the vehicle with me. Louis, I'm glad you find these moments the reason that the safari is so fascinating. You don't need to hear our voices all the time. We talk enough. We talk enough nonsense too. I just want you guys to feel like what I feel like right now, minus the heat. Feel like you are at Kruger Dam. And I once did an exercise with Morgan, and I made Morgan and all of you blindfold yourselves with whatever you could find to experience a sensory moment where you're not using visual cues. Maybe we can try it this afternoon. If you are going to jump on board with us this afternoon, I'll make Davi do it this time. And have a blindfold ready, whether it's a eye mask or a tie or a kitchen towel or a cloth, whatever. Have it ready and we'll do it again, and it will heighten your hearing to be able to hear what I'm hearing right now. And I'm glad you enjoy these moments, Louis. After a busy morning, it's time to slow it down. This is just too perfect. So I think Darby and I are going to stay put and end the show here.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. Wildlife trafficking remains a growing problem in South Africa, and often made worse by the way the media portray this complex issue. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, have recently embarked on a program whereby they train reporters to better tell stories of wildlife trafficking.
In my community, wildlife conservation is mostly something other people do, and I would like to change that. My name is Iman Singli. I told people I met that the pangolin is one of the most trafficked animals on the planet. But what is a pangolin, they said? Why is it in danger? This is what made me decide that the pangolin story must be told. If we are to play a part in preventing the extinction of this animal, then we must all be part of the battle.
A partnership between WWF South Africa and WESA, supported by USAID.
Oh, what are you doing? Are you trying out for the ballet? Now it's an itchy bottom. Up we get. Mom's coming. Everybody's moving off.
I am an outdoor photographer, a wildlife filmmaker, and a conservation storyteller. Penguin Beach is going to offer us this really unique opportunity to watch and pick up on the smallest of details in the penguins' lives. It's going to allow us the time to really get to know these penguins well, get to know their story, and get to interpret the little finer details and share that with you with a live TV show and get you to fall in love with penguins.
Okay, so I am bumbling around, still looking at some tracks. It definitely seems like there was a lot of activity close to camp last night, so around Quarantine, and then all the way up and down Vuyatela Access and down Triple M cut line, which is the western cut line. So it's quite interesting because you can tell a whole story from the tracks that you can see through the night. You know, you can see the hyena tracks, which are the most common, but then also smaller things, genets, occasionally jackals, which I haven't actually been lucky enough to see here. you can tell a whole story, and that lion track is still in the back of my mind from this morning. It looked fresh. It looked like it was sometime, possibly during the drizzle, on top of the hyena tracks. So I think there's definitely that activity attracted that lion, and that lion is following those tracks. So I'll be interested to see what it does if those tracks cross in maybe later this afternoon, or even during the night. We might find them again in the morning. But it's definitely been one of those days where you can see all of the tracks and you can almost tell a story from it. No elephant herd tracks, only elephant bull tracks, only single elephants. You know, all of these smaller things that you can notice and kind of put together. And I think it's got a lot to do with the weather, because it's been so overcast. The herds are moving further. The bulls are sticking around because they normally do, and the hyenas are very active. And when it looks like the tracks came in from the western side, which is where we were checking for those lion tracks. So that'll throw a bit of a spanner in the works, because then the lions will be attracted to that, and then the hyenas will be attracted to the lions. And it's just this circle that just keeps going, it keeps feeding itself, and in between there's all the elephant tracks and lots of Impala tracks. It's always very interesting to have a look and try and, you know, piece together all the different pieces of that puzzle. These drainage lines in particular, this is where we found a lot of the hyena tracks. And I know there's a lot of interesting dynamics happening at the moment with the Djuma clan. So it's always fun to be able to catch up with them and try and piece that together as well. But I'm going to go back into the drainage line now. I just want to do a little bit of the drainage line, see if we can find anything along there. Getting back towards quarantine area. Hopefully I'll find something there. But in the meantime, I'll send you back to Lauren at the watering hole.
We stayed put just like we promised, and look who's just arrived. I don't know if it's the same individual, or if this tree is just such a perfect tree that it's different individuals each time. Hello, Mr. Kingfisher. Huh? Huh? Now you know you're on camera. Oh, now you don't know what to do. I think it's just an ideal perch and branch. It's right, oh, okay, now we're shy. It's right next to a huge water body, and you will find a lot of insects around the water body. If you just sit, you'll see tons of dragonflies, butterflies, flies, mosquitoes, all sorts. So that's why you find a lot of birds around the water body. And I think this is just the perfect perching spot. Henry, your singing this morning has been incredible, and you are super happy. It has been. It really has been. It's nice for me to see Langa. She's been seen quite a bit on the stint. I think Rowan had her 3 times or 2. But it was nice for me just to spend some time with her. And I mean, she was being absolutely perfect in every way, shape, and form. Tessa had the buffalo on the edge of quarantine, elephants. No hyena, but that's okay. And now we're going to wrap up with the noisiest bird in the low felt at the minute. Yes, that is you. Beautiful, but noisy. And I'm excited about this afternoon. me get back onto my Langa loop. Me not. Let's see. I'll be definitely popping into the Hyena den, and I'm sure Tessa will still just be finding her feet. On that first day back, you've got to just get back into the swing of it. Hopefully Langa will be there, and hopefully it will be a delightful afternoon. Oh, and off we go. So on that note, everyone, thank you for jumping on board. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on the back of my safari vehicle, bumbling around, looking at animals or talking nonsense, whatever you prefer. We couldn't do it without you. So please do join us this afternoon. I'm very excited, and until then, have a great day.